Going on, Falcon fan? It's Barkundo. Come back at you with another video. So today, training day 5, and the pads are on. Guys, it's starting to get serious. This is where we start to decide who's going to actually want to compete and make this roster, this 53-man roster. 90 guys at practice. We got a couple roster moves we're going to get into today. Then we're going to talk about what we have learned in the first 5 days of practice here in training camp in 2024. I had a couple interviews today from some of the coaches. We heard from head coach Raheem Morris. We heard from Zach Robinson, offense coordinator. We also heard from the owner, Mr. Arthur Blank, as well. I want you guys to go look at the Pivot podcast and look at an interview with Coach Raheem Morris talking about what he think about this team and the belief he have in his team this year and the feeling that we have around the city. So all those things we're going to definitely hit on today. But guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get right into it. Like I said, it was a couple roster moves today, which is really an interesting roster moves that we had because the Atlanta Falcons brought in 2 more wide receivers. Yep, you heard me right. 2 more wide receivers. From what the word on the street that our receiver core has really been doing a great job, grasping the offense, looking good. The new guys they brought in, and Ray McLeod, Darnell Moore. I mean, Darnell Mooney, Rondell Moore. All those guys coming in, brought that Cardell Hodge, and then Corey Washington. All those guys really been doing well. However, this is where you got to respect what you see from Terry Fontenot because he's always trying to put the best roster together, right? And this is the time where competition is at its highest, right? So this is where he goes in and he brings in more guys to compete, right? You don't get comfortable because you think you got your position, solidified. You got to go in there, so you got to compete, right? So bringing in a veteran and James Washington, a guy who has familiarity with our wide receiver coach and Ike Hilliard, played with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had 735 yards, 5 touchdowns. A guy who had won the Biletnikoff Award in college, so has talent. He was productive at Pittsburgh. He got injured, so he's been out for a couple of seasons. But that's what Atlanta Falcons do. They give guys, an opportunity to come back that shows some production in the NFL, and then coming back like a guy like Kevin King they brought back as well. So this is what you like. James Washington bringing him in to compete and see can he make a roster. He had a workout with the Falcons on their off day, and they like what they seen, and they're gonna let him compete for one of the wide receiver positions. Also, they brought in another wide receiver, Jesse Matthews, a guy who was undrafted. He was with the Texans, got injured during the training camp. Never really had opportunity to show what he was able to do. But a guy in his bowl game in 2021 in the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl, he was the MVP. He had 11 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he showed some production there. So bringing in both of these guys to compete with a really good wide receiver room that we already have seen, over the first 5 days, 4 days in training camp, and these guys coming out today, first day of pads, coming out and showing what they got. Iron sharpening iron. You love to see that. Now, of course, they had to make 2 roster cuts. One was Isaiah Wooden, a receiver. I guess he wasn't making the cut or whatever. An undrafted guy that they brought in. He was not able to make the cut, so he let go, and then that's where Matthews and Washington get the opportunity to come in. The other guy was Tyler Brable, who actually they put on the retired list. I guess he's injured. Raheem Morris didn't really give really any details about why he was put on the list, but he said he'll allow him to tell his story at another time. So we just don't know the deal about that. But with that being said, back the 90-man roster. So we're gonna see what James Washington and Jesse Matthews got to bring to the table. You love to see when the scouting department goes out and try to find guys. Getting a guy like Jesse Matthews, because he showed production in college, and they want to see what he's able to do in the pros, right? You give him opportunity. And a lot of people, when you think about it, when they get opportunities, to see what they do with opportunity, that's what he's getting, right? He had his opportunity with Texans. Unfortunately, he got injured. Now he's getting another chance. Same thing with James Washington. Was productive in Pittsburgh. Had his opportunity, getting another opportunity. So we just have to see how these guys shape out. Can they, take over one of the roles of the receivers that's really been showing good production so far for this Atlanta Falcons team. So that's the roster moves. I'm pretty sure it's not done. If you know how this team has operated over the last 3 seasons under Terry Fontenot, they will make moves throughout the season, not just before the season start. He's always trying to make this roster better. So just making the move now is not just a surprise. Like I said, I'm anticipating he'll make more moves, and you can bet on that. So they bring guys in, especially during the off days, to work them out and see what they can do to get better, because that's what it's all about. So be on the lookout for more roster moves during this training camp period. All right, next topic we get to, guys, is what we really wanted to talk about today, and that's the pass. The pass are on the trenches. They can now get to work. That's really what now you can get an idea about the defensive line, right? When you think about the offensive line, you really just thinking about the depth now. We know that our starting five for the offensive line is pretty much solidified, so you're not going to see a whole lot. Movement from the offensive line standpoint. You know, it was a word on the street that one thing that Caleb McGarry does very well is open up run holes. Right, he opened up a big hole for our running back today, and that's what's going to happen. Right, great run blocking team. Just need to work on the pass blocking. So it's going to be time to tell, see how they fare with the pass protection. But from a run blocking standpoint, these guys are next level. And to think about the chemistry that they have built over the years. Now they're going to their second year with this offensive line together. Some of these guys been playing for 3 and 4 years together. So you love the chemistry that this offensive line have built. Now we got to see how they can get our defensive line prepared to go out and do things. And that's, in my opinion, where most of the competition is going to be this offseason, is the defensive line. It's been chronicle about how many defensive linemen that the Atlanta Falcons have, how many they're going to keep. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. It's been some surprises, guys like James Smith-Williams, taking snaps with the first team, right? Taquan Graham, a guy that I thought maybe be, out of it, but it looks like he's making a name for himself. But now, guys, this is where it's really going to start happening. When these guys start to put their pads on, now we can really get an idea about what this Atlanta Falcons team is going to be about, because the trenches is what makes the teams, right? You look around any sport, any level, when you look at football, it's all about the trenches, right? You look at what happened to the Colorado Buffaloes last year. And they had skill positions at the yin game, right? They had prolific receivers, great running backs. We didn't know they had great running backs because the offensive line was so bad, right? Defensive line could not stop the run. And so everybody knows, especially when you're playing big time football, you're going to have to be able to do it in the trenches. It's the heartbeat of the team, offense and defensive line. If you can't stop the run in the NFL, you're not going to be able to do anything. If you can't run the ball, you're not going to be able to do anything. So the trenches is where it's at. But for our defensive line, I think for the most part, our starters are somewhat solidified. Guys like Grady, David Amayada, Zach Harrison. Look like Lorenzo Carter has made his way into that starting lineup. And like I said, a surprise is James Smith Williams. And it's one thing that Raheem Morris talked about. He's a good run stopper. So that's why you think about the pass. But these other guys gonna get opportunities, right? We got to see what the rookies like Roy Roro is going to be able to do. We got to see what Eddie Goldman's coming back, what he's going to be able to bring to the table. Brandon Dorless, who showed great, ability to rush the passer. Let's see what he'll be able to bring to the table as well, and how the different fronts they'll be able to show offenses throughout the season with this unique defensive line they have. Mentioned that Zach Harrison's picked up pounds, like 289 pounds, according to Kyle Smith, the assistant GM. And they are now moving him inside. He have the ability because of his athleticism and how big he is to be able to move inside and outside in the defense. When they go from 3-4 to 4-3, just his versatility that he's going to be able to use. Him, a guy like Ruka Roro the same way. Of course, Grady Jarrett, David Amayada, Eddie Goldman, a guy, if he's able to, get back to form. It's been a couple years since he actually played football, but that means less wear and tear. But let's see can he can get back to form and be able to be the great run stopper that he was when he was with the Chicago Bears. Now it's going to be guys on the outside looking in, guys like Contavious Street, Lakel London, right? Um, we just have to see what they decide to do. But Zion Lowe, the 6th-round draft pick they drafted out of Georgia, another guy that could be on the outside looking in because you just anticipate them only to keep 10 defensive linemen. Now they could keep, 8 defensive linemen. They keep 10. I think guys like Contavious Street and Zion Lowe would be safe, but I don't anticipate them keeping that many guys. I think it's going to be limited to 8. So which means some guys definitely going to be on the outside looking in, which is really, really interesting to see how this thing all play out. But the main thing is now they be able to see things on tape, right? Pads, right? You heard that guys was actually today. You started to get a little bit more penalties. You started to get a little bit more, feisty out there. Fights could happen and things like that because guys hate getting beat, especially when you start putting pads on. And little guys start to show when you losing, you get mad, right? So that's what's happening with this Atlanta Falcon team. So that's some of the things that definitely look forward to. But pads gonna be huge, really going to be a huge thing for this Atlanta Falcons team, right? You even on the outside when you start looking at the defensive backs going up against the receivers because now they can actually put their hand on the receivers, be able to get back and make it feel more like football. They're not playing flag football. They can be a little bit more physical with the DBs and things like that. Of course, the running backs love to fill those holes, and just hit. They're not going down to the ground with those linebackers, but when those linebackers fill those holes that's opened up by the offensive lineman, the running back just want to feel that thud, right? That they like that. We heard Tyler Algier talking about that today when he spoke. So it's so many things that when you start thinking about pad, it start to feel like real football. Now they're trying to protect the team, which is what you want to do. One thing Raheem Morris talk about, stay on your feet, right? That's what you're trying to do, right? You want to protect the team. It's not like the old days, when I was growing up, we was doing the Oklahoma drills and things like that. Physicality. It's not like that in practice no more. It's just not. These guys got collective bargaining. They're trying to make sure they're ready for these, for the money games, which starts in September. They don't want to be able to have guys injured. We just heard about the receiver from Michigan that was carted out the field. You hate to hear things like that in training camp because guys don't even get opportunity to actually get out on the field and be able to, live out their dreams, and so you hate it. So, you know, hope the young man is able to get back out there, but things like that happen, right? It's football, and probably more than likely, if it was what they consider is um, a non-contact, injury, maybe he's probably out for the year. So I'm not sure no details on that, but that's what happens. But pads are back on the first day of pads. More than likely, they're gonna do, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is that to be done for the second 4 day block. I hope you guys are able to get to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the second and last, you know, view of the team this year for our Atlanta Falcons. From a fan standpoint, and hopefully they be in past that day, so we get to see some of that get to see some of that one-on-one competition with offense and defensive line. It could be a light day though, because they'll be 4 days straight going, heavy with pads. So we just don't know. They will get a break on Sunday, and then they'll start to get ready so they can head down to Miami for that joint practice and that preseason game that's coming up next week. So good things happen. Football is back. Pats are back. When Pats get back on, it's time football is really here. So that's what we got to like. The next topic we want to talk about is the offense. The offense continues to shine and building that chemistry. So when we're looking at the offense from an offensive standpoint, we only getting, clips here and there from what we see from the connections between our quarterbacks and our receivers and our tight ends. And for what we see from the clips, are good things. Now, more than likely you're not going to see a lot of bad plays, because it's just there's not what especially the media, the team is going to do. Some outside people might show a lot of bad plays and things like that, but honestly, guys, it's not a lot of bad plays being you know committed by our offense right now. Yes, it was out today that Kirk Cousins threw an interception to Jesse Bates. um I'm not surprised. Jesse Bates is all pro safety, one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best safety in the league. So it's nothing, no shame in that. But for the most part, from what I seen on Saturday, and what we've been hearing is that the offense is really clicking. We heard from Zach Robinson today, and how confident he is with the direction of this offense and where it's going. Um, just looking at how many weapons that his offense have, and having a really competent quarterback back there, somebody that are pretty much already understand the offense, know how to be that point guard and get the ball to his playmakers. You can see when you hear the playmakers, that when they interview, how excited they is, how confident they are, and how explosive they feel that they can be. Right, from the highlights we've seen, it seems like Kyle Pitts is back 100%. He made an outstanding catch on Saturday when Kirk Cousins put it right in the bucket. He made another catch in the red zone today. I don't know if you guys seen the clip over looked like the Marco Helms, but that's who Kyle Pitts is. He's getting back to form. You love to see things like that. Um, we also saw Penix. We saw Michael Penix throw a over the top pass to Drake London. Drake London doing what he does. High point the ball, get both feet in, touchdown. These are some of the plays, guys, we just didn't see, in the last couple of years. And this is practice. I know it's practice, but you know, it's just showing that the ability, what we vision for some of these playmakers, especially guys that was drafted, in the top 10, right? Guys like a Drake London, guys like a Kyle Pitts. The plays that we've seen in practice is the plays that you would think they would make all the time. What's going on, Kelvin? So that's what I'm talking about. Um, and Kevin said he got reserve optimism so far. Don't want to get too excited. Yeah, I mean you know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you go back and listen to like some of my videos from last season, um, I kind of signed the same way. But I can honestly say this: what I'm seeing this year, I did not see this last. I did not see that last year from the offense standpoint. I just did not. I'm being honest about it. Um, I know we made a lot of excuses for a while. Some passes weren't getting completed and things like that. But when you think about the chemistry and what we have been seeing, what I seen firsthand on Saturday, it's the optimism is, you're right, keep it reserved, but you can have some positive vibes about what you're seeing, right? Because you know it's two things. It's the way you look at it. It's the way you look at it. When you look how productive the offense have been this offseason, right? You can either say our defense is going to be really bad, right? And I don't think they're going to be as bad, as people trying to portray, right? Either our defense is going to be really bad, or the offense is really clicking on all cylinders. So, and I think it's somewhere in between. I think the offense is chemistry is there, and be honest with you, because of who the playmakers are. This is what we thought that these guys could do, right? We thought Kyle Pitts would be what everybody thought it was, a unicorn, right? Drake was the first wide receiver off the board in his draft. So this is what we kind of thought, how these guys can be playmakers, right? And you put them in the offense. I think this offense is tailored for both of these guys, right? Being able to get the tight end involved in the passing game, right? Being able to get Drake accurate passes where he can get his hand on. I mean, this guy almost had 1,000 yards in his last 2 seasons with inconsistent quarterback play. So this is what we should be seeing about this offense. This is what we should be seeing about these playmakers. Then additions to guys like Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod, who's been really a surprise, because you look at what Ray McLeod doing his last couple of stops. It's been more of being a returner and being a gadget guy and things like that. But they actually got him right now being that slot receiver, and he's actually being really productive in practice. So from what I've seen, guys, I just like what I'm seeing at offense, and they're just going to keep building that chemistry. The more and more comfortable Kirk Cousins get with his playmakers, the more he's going to be able to dissect defenses. And so that's what it is. That's what it is. And he's right. This is 100% a different vibe, man. Um, Raheem Morris just brings that. And I don't know if you watched the pivot today, and when he was talking to Ryan Clark, and Ryan Clark said, "Y'all ain't gonna be able to stop nobody," and how he's like, just watch. He believed in these guys, right? You know, they think we only got the Grady, AJ, and Jesse, right? But I believe it's gonna be more than that. I really do, and I think that his belief in the players is really what's going to want to get us over the hump. I really believe that, and I'm just I'm not going to be too excited, but I believe that Atlanta Falcons are going to be good this year. I'm just throwing it out there. I believe Atlanta Falcons going to be good, right? They need to be the team that we expect them to be. That's all I'm saying. They're not going to go out. They're not going to win every game because other teams are good as well. But I think the Atlanta Falcons going to be good. I think we could lose shootouts, right? I think we could. I think we're going to be that good to be able to do things like that. So, and I believe that it's all about the game plans that you put in. You heard Zach Robinson today. They're not going to show anything in preseason. So, the first time we really get to see this Atlanta Falcons offense, this Atlanta Falcons defense, will be in September. That's going to be the bottom line. You're not going to see anything, which, in my opinion, the first two games is an advantage for the Atlanta Falcons because nobody don't know what to expect from this offense and defense. So we got Gabba said, "What's good, Ricondo? Welcome, family. What's y'all thoughts about Kamala Harris playing the black role in Atlanta today?" Um, I I really don't want to talk about politics on my show. So Um, I'm not going to get into it. Like this, I'm just not. I'm not getting into it because I can go down a whole, you know, different direction with this, and I just I don't want to get into politics. You know, if you hit me on Twitter or something like that, we can definitely have a conversation about it. But I'm going to stick to the Falcons about it, and stick to the Falcons, and whoever wins an election, we're going to see what happens with that. But I personally not going to get into talking about politics, not on this channel anyway. But she had a big crowd out here. I can tell you that much. Um, so that's what I got to say about that. But anyway, guys, you think about the vibe in Atlanta in itself about this. It was just reported that the team sold out all the tickets for the season. Every ticket they sold out on season tickets. So the atmosphere is there, right? And yes, it's all because of Kirk Cousins. It's all because of Raheem Morris, the positivity that they brought in. It's all because of the talent that everybody feel that we have on this team. Um, you can even see it in the 4 primetime games that they gave the Atlanta Falcons. So it's a lot there to see why the vibe is the way it is, right? And this offense is definitely is one of the reasons why you can feel that it's going to shine the way it's going to shine. So um that's that's what we're talking about with offense, and things like that. Let's go to my last point of today. And it's one thing that Coach Morris has definitely been talking about a lot, and it's when he mentioned about defining roles, right? When you talk about defining roles for um this team, right? In the players, I think this is huge. I think this is really huge, right? Because you know I talked about having that one dominant pass rusher. Well, the Atlanta Falcons does not have that. Well, they just don't, right? We don't have a guy that's going to go out there, put you in double digit sacks and be able to and do things like that. They don't have that guy, right? But he said he's going to put guys in roles for them to be successful. So he mentioned James Smith Williams as a guy, perfect example. Went and back, looked at the tape, a guy who's really, really good in run, really good at setting edges, right? You're going to be able to have a role for them. When you sign that guy, you tell him, this is the vision we see for you. This is the role we want to put you in. And that's the role he's playing, right? We talked about Zach Harrison. Hey, we want you to gain 20-some pounds. We're going to move you inside because this is the role we see you in. We're going to have you playing outside because this is the role we're going to see you in. So we want to buck you up a little bit because you're a big human being, and we're going to be able to utilize you that way, right? Um, those are kind of the roles that you want to see. Those are the roles, in different roles. The role that he's going to have for guys like D. Alford, Mike Hughes, um, Clark Phillips, right? The roles he's going to have for the three linebackers, right? Because honestly, guys, the way Nate Landman played last year was so impressive. 111 tackles. I think he had 3 interceptions, or I mean, 3 forced fumbles, an interception. He played outstanding football, right? But you know what you got in Troy Anderson, a guy that I picked to be a breakout guy, right? What the roles they're going to play for the guys? Maybe putting Ellis, Caden Ellis as a guy that's going to rush the passer more, like he did when he was with the New Orleans Aints, right? So things like that. Those are the roles. Trying to find these guys' roles where they can be successful. And then, like Raheem Morris said when he talked about it on the pivot, guys' role be so defined, and they shine in those roles, they become household names. That's what he wants, and he's going to instill that in those guys, and that's what you got to believe in. Kirk said, maybe you already addressed this. What do you thought on Kirk Cousins not playing in the preseason? I have not addressed that, and this is a great question. I don't know. I don't know because you know, when you hear Zach Robinson say they're not going to show anything, um, they're not going to show anything in preseason. So they're not going to show any play. So really, you're just going out there playing vanilla offense and throwing the ball around, right? Under live bullets. I guess because you're going up against another team live, you want to be able to experience that before you get out, before real bullets start going down range. I get it. But those, I think the purpose of the joint practices is to kind of simulate that. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to see how well the joint practices go, and and be able to utilize that instead of putting guys in the preseason games that does not matter, right? Like I said, the money games are the games that they want to do get into September. Um, Now, and you gotta look at a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's been in the league. This is 13th season. Had enough snaps. Probably don't need the preseason anyway. Now Zach Robinson's needs it because he's going to first time calling plays, so he's going to get his reps. But what they do in practice, what they do in the joint practice, and they're having two joint practices, so I think that's going to be really important for them. So, um, you're right. The preseason games, and it's been a big topic in the last couple of years as well. That Arthur Smith did not play guys in the preseason, and they seemed like they wasn't prepared. I think it's a little different this year because you got a veteran quarterback that has been playing a lot of football over 13 seasons. So it's not going to be a bigger culture shock for him. Um, and hopefully it works out. I know a lot of people want to get him out there to play. They don't want to be the first time that they they get out there and then they play, trying to play football for the first time. I get it, I understand, but at the same time, um, at the same time, you know, I'm like Raheem Morris. Do you really want to risk it? Do you really, really want to risk it? That's the question. So that that's really what it boils down to about playing in the preseason. Some guys will play, but we definitely going to get a look at guys that's in that second, third, fourth string. So we're going to look at those guys. I think the biggest play that really is going to get a lot of attention in preseason is the kickoff and kickoff return. That's the biggest play because we don't know what that's going to look like. No team does. No team knows what to expect from the kickoff. And I can tell you, man, some of these special team coaches, got a lot of things that they probably going to try, and it's gonna catch some teams off guard, right? Until everybody get the swing of things. This is the brand new play in the NFL, so that to me is probably the biggest thing different from preseason. That's probably going to bring a little excitement. It's the kickoff and kickoff return. Everything else, like I said, teams don't want to show their hands. Zach Robinson already mentioned that they're not going to show anything. So you're not going to get an idea of what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do at all, right? Um, from a defense standpoint, we definitely don't have a clue what this defense is going to be like. We have no idea, how they're going to try to put this thing together. So, um, and it's different because you can go back and look at film on offensive coaches and defensive coaches how they're going to call the game. Well, when you look at a guy like Zach Robinson and Jimmy Lake, you just don't have that. Not on the NFL level for Jimmy Lake, right? You have it on the college level, you really do, but on the NFL level, you don't have that. So it's gonna be interesting to see how how these guys are going to look in when the regular season start. But preseason, um, I think they got the right idea. You got to believe in what you believe in, and because of the joint practices, they got two joint practices. I think that's what they're gonna lay their head on and make sure they be ready to go when September get here. But guys, just to close it out with the defining roles, I think this is going to be a big thing um, that they're really looking at. He's always talk about coaches putting their guys in the right spot to be successful. This is what it's all about, right? You got to look at the coaching staff. Raheem Morris believe that he have a great coaching staff. I believe him as well. I do believe this is a good coaching staff. So, with that being said, they're gonna identify what these guys do well, and try to put them in the best position. With that, I mean, if you just look at a defensive line, and so many different guys with so many different skill sets, you can find a role for each one of those guys where they excel at the highest, and that's what you ask them to do for right now. You know, um, most guys we know Grady and David going to be able to do what they do, right? Because they sell a lot of stuff, so they'll be able to do their things. But Armor Ebiketie, right? We're gonna let you be a designated pass rusher, and if that's your role, define it, and you get them out there and you put them in pass rush downs, right? Brandon Dorley is a guy that has success with that, right? Um, like I said, James Smith Williams, a guy like him, if he's good at stop and run and setting the edge, that's going to be his role, right? That's where the coaching comes into play. And the way Raheem Morrison, he's real confident that he can help these guys find what they do best, and they'll be able to be successful when it comes to stopping offenses from putting up a lot of points on our Orlando Falcons. So I just can't say enough about where these guys at. It's just day 5. Training camp just starting. Got a lot of more days left. Got 3 preseason games to look at and things like that. So it's just a lot. They got a long way to go, per se. So it's not a finished product by no means, right? But from where they're at right now and to where we hope they can be start the season, and then where we hope they can be going into November and December, I think this is going to be a really good thing, right? Right now the Bucks are the defending NFC South champs. Look like for the last 3 years, right? So we got to be able to represent and see can we take the crown from those guys. And it starts right now in training camp, day in day 5. Everybody believing they have opportunity to do this. They know that they have the pieces on paper to be good. Now they got to go out and execute. And it sounds familiar. I know we have said this before, but I think it's just a different vibe this year. And we just got to see what really happens. So, guys, that's all I have. Let me know what you think about the new additions, um, James Washington and Jesse Matthews that they brought in. Um, Let me know how excited you are about first day of pads. Your thoughts on what you've been hearing so far. Your comments in here, questions in here. I'll definitely be able to get with you. Let's see what's they said. Are you confident Grady Jarrett will bounce back? I do. I mean, man, I can tell you this. On Saturday, Grady made a play. He was in the backfield so fast that Michael Penix couldn't even get the ball off. I just tell you that. It looked like he's already back. I know he's not 100% all the way yet, but from what I seen, just uh, what he did was just he's like he's back, man. And they still got him on a minimum play, so they're not playing him a lot of plays because they kind of let him ramp back up. But I think it was up to Grady. He'll just go out there and rake shop. But yeah, he looks good. He really do. Yeah, he's back. He's back. He's been Grady already. And put him beside David Amiyata is huge because that guy's really underrated himself. That guy is probably one of the best interior pass rushers that's out. So you know you can say that about Grady, probably one of the best interior pass rushers. Him and David Amiyata. And so yeah. And quarterbacks hate middle pressure. They hate it with a passion, right? Everybody talks about that outside pressure, but those guys can step up in the pocket. They can still get passes off. So that's where it's at. But guys, that's all I have today. Give me your comments. Leave your thoughts on here about anything, and we'll definitely can talk about it. You know, just let me know. So that's all I have. P.S. Who's your favorite GI Joe character? Um, it's probably Snake Eyes. Probably Snake Eyes. That's probably who it is. I like Duke, right? Duke or Flint, but Snake Eyes probably be. Or and be honest with you, if you want to say Cobra, I like Storm Shadow too. Um, so it's a couple of guys that quick kick was good. So you got me going now. You got me going. But Snake Eyes probably probably was the best. But then you got quick kick, you got Duke, you got Flint. Um, I grew up with all those. Those GI Joe characters you guys see up there. This my childhood. I grew up with all those. I used to have little figures to go outside and do all kind of stuff and just have a ball. So just nostalgia. When I seen them, I had to get them. I actually been looking for more. Um, see, can I get all of them? So I got the Cobra. So I don't have Serpentor and things like that. If you guys know about GI Joe, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's where we're at with those guys. so so that's all I have, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Um, Going to continue to do Falcons coverage. Hopefully, see a lot of you guys at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Friday. I will be there. Last practice that we'll see from these guys this year, live as fans before they start to playing preseason games and get into the season. So that's your guy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.